Okay, good evening. Welcome to the fourth class from the QuickBooks. I'm opening up the class on here on the home screen, and we're going to review briefly the last section that we did last class. That's step number 4 in the curriculum. That's entering some common bills or charges. That's actually the new material we did on Monday. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Vendor Center, which I do in the menu bar in the top. It says Vendors, and we go down to Vendor Center. And we go into Vendor Center, we'll see a list of the vendors that we entered last time. And this is in alphabetical order. So you could cross-reference, you have the Amazon for $500. That was in item number 4. We have Ami Magazine for $250. That's in step number 6. And then we have, so that's 6 of part 4. We have Con Edison and National Grid. They follow each other for $328 and $126. And that was in step 2. We have Nest Paper for $177. We have Office Depot for $1,200. That was step 3. We have Office Rentals. That was the last step. That was step 7. And we have Staples for $379. These should be your matching numbers, and hopefully everyone has those. If anyone still needs help putting in 1 or 2 of those items, you can go ahead. And when we did it, we categorized all of these 7 things into particular categories. So you don't see the categories in this window. Here you just see the vendors and the amounts you owe them. This is the accounts payable. And what we're going to do today is similar to what we did by customers, that we invoice them, and following the invoice, we receive the payment. So the same thing as by the vendors, we enter the bills. These are the bills. And following entering bills, we want to go and pay those bills. Now, in invoices, we said that they're all categorized to sales, right? All our service items we had here in the lists, the drop-down menu item list, all our accounts was one income account called sales. It's all income. It's all the revenue for the company. But the charges are categorized according to expense types, which I gave them, and we'll see that later on in the reports. I'm not going to spend time on that now. Right now, we're going to go over to paying those bills. I see already a raised hand. I'm not exactly sure. 1 second here. We'll get the Q&A if there's any. I don't see any questions on the Q&A. Let's try here. Okay, we'll try this way. There's I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Elena has a question. Let's see. Hello. Okay. I guess you'll have to raise the hand again if the question comes up. Okay. How do we pay these payments? So we're going to do this. We're going to start us off with another shortcut called Control W. Control W means like to write. W stands for write. And we are going to write a check. The check will look similar to sometimes you see printed out checks from a company. This could be printed from QuickBooks on check stock. You have blank checks, and all you have to do is it knows where to fill in the payment amounts and the payee. Obviously, the signature you can do yourself after you print it out. And QuickBooks can assign numbers, or you can leave in QuickBooks blank because you're not sure yet which number you're going to use on the check. After you print the check, you'll tell QuickBooks which number that is. One other point to take note is that just like we could do deposits directly in the register, we could do payments also directly in the register. I'll show that afterwards. The first couple payments we see here, we're doing 4 payments today. Number 1, we're paying NAS by check. So one way to do it is actually the proper way to do it is to go to vendors and drop down. Yeah, okay, we'll do this way. So again, forget the control W. We're going to do by step 6. Okay, right now we're by step 5. So if you entered a bill, the proper way to pay the bill is to go to vendors and drop down to pay bills. And in the bills, it's going to have a list of the bills that are open and the due dates, because similar to the invoicing, you can have terms of the customer paying you in 10 days, in 15 days, due upon receipt, in 30 days. You could also have due dates for your vendors. And I said the default we have here is 10 days. So we entered this 2 days ago, all the bills on 11/9. So on 11/19, you're having here the due date. So we can prepare the checks today, and we don't have to mail them out until Monday because it doesn't have to get to till the end of next week. And you see here, again, this is not necessarily in alphabetical order. This is in the order that we entered it. You see, Nest Paper, Con and Office Depot. Again, you can sort them by vendor and by alphabetical, but we're going to pay Nest Paper because they're number 1. And similar to invoices, that when we receive payments, we check the invoice and it assumes we're receiving all the money for the invoice, unless we tell QuickBooks otherwise. We'll do the same thing here. We're going to check Nest Paper and look how the fields fill out. Okay, it was due 11/19, the vendor's Nest Paper. We go across, the amount due is 177. You can apply a discount to the customer if the customer is getting 10% off. So then it will take off like 1770. Could be as credits, which is not actually a discount, but maybe for a returned item, and you apply the credit, like you don't give change back, but we apply it to a future invoice, a future bill, and or in this case where you return them, let's say you bought from a vendor something which was broken, one part of it. So you're telling you know what, I'm not getting a discount, I'm getting a credit towards my bill. So, but here, since we selected it, the assumption is that you're paying 177. Okay, so this is the top line. I'm gonna pay one bill, and then I'm gonna pause and let everyone pay the next bill, the same bill. Now, the date of the check, if you go down to the bottom, it says 11/11. That's the default date, which is today, the day which we're in the software. Again, I told you that we can set a default, which will be the last date used, and technically you could be back to 11/9. But we're using now the default of today's date, 11/11, and you're paying with the method as a check. You can pay with a credit card, but we actually don't have a credit card yet. So in order to record a charge of credit, you need to have a valid credit card account. Just like when we want to put $500 in the bank, we first had to create a bank account. I'm not going to create a credit card yet. I'm going to X this out, so I'm not going to create one now. I'm going to go back to the check, and the account in my QuickBooks, I have a Chase and a Citi. You might only have a Chase right now. You can always add one. We know how to add bank accounts, or any account for that matter. We do Control A, which is chart of accounts. We do Control N, which means a new account within that window. And you could select if it's an income account or an expense account, which are affecting the profit and loss, or any one of the balance sheets accounts, which are called. And by the way, the P&L accounts are called temporary accounts because every year it closes out, right? We have the revenue of this period, let's say $100,000, you have expenses of $75,000, and $25,000 is the net income. The next period starts again from zero. So we start off the next period, we have a zero, we start off with a zero profit and zero expense. We're not carrying over in the next period and double counting the income or double counting the expenses. So P&L is temporary accounts. Permanent accounts are the balance sheet accounts, right? We don't want to wipe out a bank account balance when we go to the next period. The bank account still stays there. And we wish our liabilities, our bills will disappear, but these will still stay there until we pay them. Likewise, our equity, right? If you remember, assets equals liabilities and equity. So the bank account is an asset, that's the company's money. It could have either been a liability, meaning you borrowed the money for the account, or it's an equity that the owners or the members of the company invested that money into the account. So it's a claim from the owners of the company against the company. So we have here Chase. Now I'm going to pay to select. Finally, I did all the information it needs. And you see again in the bottom of the vendor Nest Paper, if I had any credits available, it will tell it to me over here, number of credits. It could have been multiple credits from different times. We'll give you the total amount of credits in dollars, And you could you would be able to set those credits against your bill, as I showed you up here on the top, if you had them. This suggested discount, maybe this might be your bid. Like, you're making a partial payment and you're suggesting that maybe they'll write off the rest, a discount. And maybe they'll accept it, or you'll tell them, oh, you know what, I sent out the first payment and I'll send the second part. But it doesn't hurt to lose to try to get yourself a discount. If I press pay selected bills over here on the bottom, what's going to happen? QuickBooks is going to say, double check the payment details 1111. It's coming from the Chase bank account. The amount due is 11/9. The date due is really 11/19, but I'm preparing the check today. And you say you print the checks, which right now will bring me to a printer screen, or I'll say done. I'm finished. I paid my payment. Or I go to pay more bills. I mean, if I only had one check to do, I would say done. I paid my nest. But we know that we have 7 other payments that need to be made. So we're going to go pay more bills. So I'm going to click on pay more bills, and I'm going to wait for everyone to catch up and pay this one check, which is Ness. Again, how do we do that? We go to vendors on the menu bar, drop down to pay bills, and we select the first one on the list, which is Ness paper, and we pay that bill. And that's all there is to it. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions on this step that we did today. Yeah, I see there are 2 questions. Okay, so I see that someone told me that they lost everything from step 4. I don't think right now is the time to go through the whole class and enter the 8 bills again. So try your best to follow along with what the class is doing, I guess, to at least create one and enter one bill, enter Nest for 177 and pay that. So at least you get that. Now, QuickBooks doesn't give you checks. Yeah, they could sell you services just like anything else. You could order through them, but why would you buy it from QuickBooks? You could buy checks from an office supplies company. You're going to just tell QuickBooks that I want you to start numbering my checks at a certain number. So that takes care of that question. I'm still scrolling here. Okay, so the only thing we are actually paying by check today is just one check by Ness. We shall from the company. We are making 3 other payments. This is a sneak preview. If you could look at the curriculum, it says we're going to pay Office Depot with your friend Shimon's credit card. This should already alert you to the difference between 1 and 2. When I pay Nest by check, the company is paying money out of the money it has in the bank. Whether you had the $500, whether you had the $1,720, the company is paying its own check. When you're paying with your friend Shimon's credit card, which means Shimon is lending the money, Shimon is lending the company, it's his card. He's lending his credit line. So we are actually taking on a liability. We are borrowing money from Shimon to pay for Office Depot. Step 3 is we're going to pay Amazon and Staples with the company credit card. So we didn't have a company credit card, so we're going to have to create one. So let's see how we're going to do this. And finally, step 4, we're going to pay the rent with a personal check. So again, this is a check, but again, it's still not the company. So I'm going to assume that for now, I see, wow, there's a bunch of messages here. Let's see. Okay, so usually I would recommend after a QuickBooks class, you should close down the file. That would save everything that's there. Usually QuickBooks, when you save one record, even if you didn't exit it, it should save it. But sometimes you have for those computer techies out there, there are times where it's in the memory, but it's not in the program, and you close it down, and it only saves it in the program when you exit the program. So you want to save yourself some anguish by not losing all the information from a class. Okay, so again, one more time, we did vendors. We went to down pay bills, and we selected the first one, which is NES. NES doesn't exist by me anymore because I paid it. Those who still see NES here, you should check it off. But don't check off Edison. That's what I have. You have to check off NES. That's the first line for 177, and pay it by check. Perhaps we could get a raise of hands of people who already did step 5, part 1, or part 5, step 1. Okay, so I see if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the bill we just paid is not going to show anymore in the paid bills because it's paid already. But what you can do is you could go back to the vendor center, and you should see that the balance by NAS paper now is 0. That you will see over here, balance for NAS paper is 0 because it was paid already. Okay, and I'm not regarding the saving. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that QuickBooks by itself saves incrementally after every record you enter, it saves it. But it is possible that if the computer crashes or something, it's going to remember, it's going to save what was there since you closed the last. I'm not 100% sure about that one. I think it saves it, but you're telling me that you lost the information, so I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go on to the part 2 of number 5, which is pay Office Depot with a Frenchman's credit card. So again, we're going to vendors, drop down. If you're comfortable, you could listen and follow on your own software, or you can watch what I'm doing and I'll pause afterwards. Vendors, drop down, pay bills. What's going to show up over here again is the remaining 7 out of the 8 people, right? So 7 people are still here. We're going to click Office Depot. Office Depot is a $1,200 amount. Okay, when we originally did this, we did it before we made deposits. So the bank didn't even have $1,200 inside. But regardless, we don't want to wipe ourselves down below a minimum, so we're going to borrow money for this. Office Depot, how we're paying it. So we know already, similar to Nest, that once you check it, it's going to make it $1,200. That's going to select the whole amount. But we go down to the bottom, we're going to choose method, credit card. And since we're choosing a credit card, yes, we have to create one. And we'll call it Shimon because we're not even sure which credit card, which bank it is. right? We just know it's our friend Shimon's credit card. So when it brings the account name, I'm going to put on Shimon, and we're going to save and close. So now we have a credit card that says account called Shimon, and the ending balance it shows in the credit card after you pay this will be $1,200. This is always lets you know, same thing in a bank account. Had we used a bank, right, the bank would have $343 left in Chase. We don't want to be so low, so we're going to use a credit card, and the credit card is going to have a $1,200 balance when we pay it. So if anyone has questions on what we did so far, please put in the Q&A. But for now, I'm going to assume that all we did was we selected Office Depot, and $1,200 was the amount to pay automatically. We went down to Method Credit Card. It asked us to create a credit card, and we wrote Shimon. Let me see if there's any questions on this so far. So someone wants to know, how do we differentiate between paying with a friend's credit card versus a business credit card? So for now, we're going to see in the next step, we're paying something with a company credit card. So our company will give it a bank name. So let's say we'll choose a Citi card. So Citi card will be our bank. And Shimon is not a name of a credit card. Obviously, Shimon could have been a check from Shimon also. In this case, it's a credit card. So we're going to use a friend's name. That will be the loan. The loan will be from the friend's name. Similarly, the same way we use the credit. Okay, let's not confuse this right now. Let me see any other questions. How can we differentiate between with the debt? If the bill is paid partially, so as I said before, you would edit the number. You would go here to amount to pay and choose what amount you do want to pay. And the rest will be called unpaid. Similar to the invoice. When you receive a payment and you put in a partial payment, the rest is an underpayment. So on our end, we will have underpaid the bill and we will still have a balance. Credit card, how do you add money to a credit card? You don't add money to credit cards. What you do is you pay a credit card. And we can add loans, right? But that's not for the stage right now. Yes. The 1543 is the amount you should have. What I was demonstrating was if I would pay the $1,200 from the bank, it would be reduced to 343. Okay. And don't forget to say pay select the bills. QuickBooks will not record that if you didn't press pay select the bills. So I'm going to click pay select the bills. Okay, again, I'm going to give you a moment to catch up on this part. And you will see, I pressed done. By the way, I didn't press put more bills. And you'll see that there's two empty balances. Nest Paper 0, Office Depot 0. And we know that Nest Paper was paid by check and Office Depot was paid by credit card. Okay, so let's hold off a little bit on the what ifs. Let's first enter and understand the steps that are being put here on the curriculum that we need to know, and the what ifs we'll understand as we go along. Okay, and Mordechai says his Chase account has a negative 877. Evidently, You paid everything out of your Chase account. You paid, right? If you and you didn't make the deposit, so if you took your $500 that was there, you paid 177, and then you paid 1,200, you're negative 877. So you have to go. You have to edit that. That payment was not supposed. Was supposed to pay by credit card, by Shimon's credit card. Mm-hmm. So it's not letting me select pay the bill. I'm not sure on which screen what MA is in, but it's pretty straightforward. If you're in the vendors and you drop down pay bills, you will have boxes where you check off, and you can check off who you want to pay. Now that we did 2 payments from the vendor drop down, we could go back to vendor center. That's another option. And we right click the vendor. So step 3, you wanted to pay Amazon and Staples. So actually, we're doing 2 together. Okay, we'll do one at a time. We'll right click Amazon. Right click Amazon says pay bills. Okay, and you right click Amazon from the vendor center and you select pay bills. It's going to bring you back to the same screen, right? That's the way you pay a bill. You could have gone there by going to vendor drop down, or by right clicking the vendor and paying a bill. And I'm going to click Amazon. Amazon is $500. And if we're doing this on one credit card, right, for QuickBooks purposes, you don't have to enter payment separately. We could go and highlight Staples as well. So we highlight Amazon and we highlight Staples. It's $500 and $379 for a total of $879. But we are not going to use the credit card called Shimon. Rather, we're doing a credit card, but it's a company credit card. I said we're going to use Citi Card. So you don't have to go back to chart of accounts and create a new one. We know in QuickBooks, just by typing something new in a place where it's supposed to be account, it's going to prompt you to save it. So let's see. We're in the account. I overwrote Shimon and I write Citi Card. It could be one word, it could be 2 words. It's not really relevant right now, but if I'm going to press tab, it's going to say Citi Card is not in the count list. So when I press here setup, it's similar to Quick Add by vendors, but it's a setup because it has to save it in the account system. But it's the same thing as if I would have gone to chart of accounts, right? It says here the account type is credit card, right? As opposed to a loan, right? I could create a loan, but in this case, Citi Card is not a liability, which is a short-term loan or a long-term liability, long-term loan. Citi Card is a credit card, so I'm going to leave it as credit card, and I'm going to save and close. So now we have in credit cards really two. If you look on the drop down, we have 2. We have Shimon, which Shimon we know is a friend, right? I don't know yet of a company called Shimon for credit cards, so Shimon is obviously my friend. And Citi Card is the company credit card. Again, in your own companies in QuickBooks, you can set it up as you want. I'm here to show you how it works in general, inputting information. And all I'm going to do after I selected the Amazon and Staples is we created a new credit card account called Citi Card. I'm going to click pay select the bills. And then again, I'm going to wait a moment or 2 for people to do this on their own computer. And if anyone has questions, I guess, put it on the Q&A for now. So interesting thing there. Okay, so Solomon's asking, did we put the account for step 2 as a long-term liability? So the answer is that I didn't do it as a liability at all, not short-term or long-term, because the purposes of paying bills from this window of vendors, I have two choices. I have a choice of a bank or a credit card. That's the methods. You don't pay with a loan within this window. And so therefore I use credit card and use Shimon's name. But when we do journal entries, we can pay expenses with the loan, and we'll leave that for another time. So as for now, it's a credit card. Someone asked me, where do we put a $1,000 limit on company credit card? Not sure where you found that. I mean, it could be it's a default in the software. Let me see what I did over here. My account, Control A, city card. Actually added the account. Okay, press cancel. On this one, I go back to. Okay, so Ellie, is Ellie here? Oh, so Ellie's asking, where can we put a 1K limit? You can do that. I'm not sure. You asked, where did we put that there's a limit? And so I'm not sure if you asked your question was we did, or can we do that? We can do that on customers. We put a limit on how much they can purchase from the company without paying. Okay, someone has an ending balance of 2,079. I'm not sure. Okay, the answer is that you paid everything on the same credit card. You paid the $1,200 on one credit card, and you added the $879 to the same credit card. So let's not skip a step. We have to read. The key is to analyze properly. Step 2 is you're paying Office Depot, which is the $1,200, with a friend Shimon's credit card. So I didn't actually say this, but I explained it that we have to take a credit card and call it Shimon. Amazon and Staples. Oh, yes, see, Amazon Staples with the company credit card, and you have a $1,000 limit. Yeah, I did write that. Okay. So let me see where I put that in. Yeah, for now, let's assume that we're not going to pay anything more than $1,000. I'll look up that again. I guess just for now, and you can answer the unasked question: why, if I have a company credit card, why am I borrowing Shimon's credit card for $1,200? The answer is because I only have a $1,000 limit on my credit card, so I put $879 on my own, and I borrowed $1,200 from Shimon. Because ideally, you should use the company's resources for your own payments. Okay, so I said for now, let's forget that you have to actually enter the $1,000 limit. That's the answer to a few questions here. I'm not setting right now the limit. I'm just explaining why I borrowed $1,200 from a friend. Okay. Can you repeat out the ad account? Again, if whoever did not yet, if you look at the chart of accounts, you'll see here, you have a credit card called Citi Card. The balance is zero. Probably I didn't even press the pay selected yet. Until you click pay selected, it doesn't post to the balance. Okay. Now I have $879 on my Citi Card credit card. That's the company. I have $1,200 on the credit card, which is Shimon. If you do not have yet these two credit cards, you can go Control N and create a credit card. Right here, you select create credit card and you go continue and you'll name the credit card. So if you have only the Citi Card, now you create the Shimon. If you have only the Shimon, right now create the Citi Card. Either way, you should save and close, and you should have two accounts, one called Citi Card and one called Shimon. After you have the two credit cards, I will show you how to change the charges from one to the other. That means if you accidentally had the 879 and the 1200 in the same one, and then your balance is 2079 like we had someone here. So I will show you in a moment how to change that. So I'm just gonna wait a second and to confirm, or at least not to confirm, I'll at least give a chance that everyone has these two credit cards, Citi Card and Shimon. And if I would go, I'll take the one which is only one because it's less movement. If I would double click on the 1200, it will show me that I'm using credit card called Shimon. I paid a bill, it was a check, I paid off a bill, $1,200 of the credit card Shimon. If I would drop down and change it to Citi Card, right? It gives you a notice you're reviewing a previously recorded transaction, right? So it's going to remind leave it as is by pressing cancel, or I'll actually save it. And I could say, don't remind me in the future. Now, if I save and close, what I actually did, okay, just giving you a notice. I'm not going to explain this message right now. I'm just going to click yes. Now what we have here is the zero balance in one credit card, and the other one has 2,000. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to undo it because I really want the $1,200 to be in the other credit cards. As I said, that we only have a limit. So I'm going to go Citi Card Shimon and change it back. And now I'm going to save and close. And same message comes up. And now we have 879. Then the Amazon for 500, the Staples for 379, and we have the $1,200. I'm going to wait a second here. I'm going to look at the Q&A. Oh. Give me 1 second here. We're having a little. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Mhm. I think I'm the host now. I'm sorry about that. 1 second, back here in the air. Okay, sorry about there's some technical difficulty here. Whoever had one or two unanswered questions, please post it back again because my open questions are not there. Let's share screen again. So that's 32. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're back here after some technical pause here for a minute. Again, if you have a question that you posted, please copy and put it back in on the Q&A. How do you add a bank account? You're missing Citi. Well, I created Citi. Right now, we only need one bank account. So we're using 2 credit cards, but we only need one bank account. So it'll be the same thing. You do Control N, and the account you choose to add is a bank account, right? Control N, and you're going to choose bank, and then you proceed further. Bank and continue. Okay. I believe by now, at least I gave you enough time, at least in your end, to have your Citi card, your Shimon, which is also a credit card, and the balance should be $12,879. And the goal is that after steps 6 and 7, we should be able to already do some reports and see how everything meshes together: the invoices, the received payments, the bills, and the paid to the vendors. Right now, we still have one more vendor to pay, which is the rent. And the end of steps 4, we said that we're paying rent from office rentals. That's the bill. So again, we're going to go to vendors, pay bills, and we shall use office rentals. It's right. The list of unpaid bills is shrinking, and we are going to pay with a check, but it's a personal check. So yes, you're correct. The personal check we're going to use is going to be the Citi. Okay, so we have like this. The Chase account is the company. Actually, no, we can't do this. Chase is the company account, and we're using a personal check for the rent. So we actually do this with a journal entry. Okay, we're going to do, let's see if we can do this. Go to company, drop down to make journal entry. Okay, company, drop down, make journal entry. And what I'm going to do, if we can follow along, let's see if it works. We're going to pay account is rent expense. No, we have the bill over here. Let's see a second. We're not going to pay the rent expense because that's already there. We're going to pay accounts payable, right? Right. We already have accounts payable. That is the open balance for rent. So, if you remember the debits and credits, when you increase an expense on the left side, so the expenses end up on the left, and you increase payables on the right side. So now we're going to decrease the payable, which is the $1,500 from office rentals. Office rentals is a company, is a vendor. Okay, pay close attention. We have, again, I'm going to do this slowly. We have here accounts payable, $1,500, because we already have an open bill for 1,500 and we're choosing the name Office Rentals. This is a workaround for paying vendors in the vendor section. You can go to a journal entry and you do accounts payable and you put the $1,500 in. And here's we will create the loan or the members equity. Let's go type in members equity. We're increasing our equity because by paying off a company expense, we are increasing our equity, which also goes up on the right side. So we're switching the liability from office rentals, $1,500, we're putting it down and we're increasing the equity. I'm gonna leave the screen open over here and I'm gonna wait for everyone to do this so we don't get lost. Again, we went to company, drop down, make journal entries. This is our first journal entry. We are debiting account payable. That's called making a debit for 1,500, and we're saying which account payable, right? If I would not select the name, it would ask me who are you paying off, right? If I would say save and close, say transactions to account payable must include a name. You can't just pay off accounts payable. You need a name. I'm paying off Office Depot. I'm not Office Rentals. I'm sorry. Okay, so paying off Office Rentals, and I'm increasing my equity by $1,500. I'm leaving it open for another moment till everyone gets there. Someone's asking, why can't I pay rent from bills? The answer is because I said when a credit card, I could pay from the vendor's window and it's a liability, it's due. Checks, I don't want to mix my checking accounts with the company checking accounts because then it's going to lie in the reports. The reports can't say that the company is a negative $1,500 on the checking account, which doesn't exist. But a credit card is something which is due anyway. In other words, bank accounts are assets. So only bank accounts that the company owns, I can actually pay bills from. I can't pay personal checks from an asset the company doesn't own. But credit cards by default is liabilities anyway. It's what's owed. So what's the difference if it's owed to Citibank or if it's owed to Shimon or if it's owed to my credit card? I believe that should answer that question. We are doing now AP, not AR. And then it's anonymous who I believe should not be signing in as anonymous. No. Again, to summarize, what is the fourth step? The fourth step of part 5 is to pay the rent, right? We already entered the bill. The bill was $1,500, but we're paying it. We're paying it with a personal check. So similar to the first $500 that we deposited into the bank account of Chase and its members' equity, we are paying off, but I'm not putting the money into the company account. That's the difference. When I put the first $500 of members' equity, the company took possession of the $500. That's in the company's bank account. It's the company's asset. In this case, the company didn't get the $1,500. In that case, I would have deposited $1,500 in the company with my check, and then I'll pay it out of the company. But here, it was paid by a third-party check. So that's why I did it with a journal entry. So the answer for members' equity is the member. You don't have to put a name by members' equity. It's only the pay. And similarly, if I was doing the reverse, if I was crediting a receivable, right, I would credit receivable, I would still need to put in the customer's name so he could be credited the money. Okay, so I'll notice that I unclicked adjusting entry. That's beyond the scope of this thing, but right now it's a regular entry, not an adjusting entry. Adjusting entries we'll be learning down the road. Okay, I believe I have this screen open for a while, and everyone can see the debit accounts payable 1,500, the credited members equity 1,500, and the name on the accounts payable we credited is office rentals. When I press save and close, and I go back to vendor center, there shouldn't be any more than $1,500 the office rentals. Let's see if this is the case. We're about to post to retained earnings and members equity. It's fine. Press OK. They're suggesting you choose another member equity account. I could do that, but for today, I'm going to use this. I'm going to say yes. Okay. Okay. So here's the trick. If you see over here now on the office rentals, you have a credit available 1,500. What does it mean? It means that if I would go to vendors center and look at office rentals is zero because we have a bill that was created for $1,500. We also debited office rentals for $1,500. So technically office rentals is zero. But for purposes of QuickBooks, there's another part which is called pay bills, which will show an open balance of $1,500 for a bill, and it will show a credit of $1,500 because it's possible that really we had two open bills of $1,500, and I debited accounts payable for $1,500, and we don't know which bill to apply it to because they could be from different periods. Let's say I had the rent for so I made a journal entry. I paid off $1,500 and I debited, but which bill am I paying first, the old one or the new one? So in this case, since there was only one bill of $1,500, the end result is that I owe office rental zero, but the payment is still unapplied to the invoice. So there's still yet one more step I have to do. And this is something people forget to do. And then it builds up a bunch of unpaid invoices and a bunch of credits, and then you get lost. So you got to take care of it right away. You go office rentals, and I click on it, but not amount to pay $1,500. I don't want to pay the $1,500. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the credit for $1,500 and press done. And now it's going to reverse. It's going to make zero amount to pay. It's going to use up the credit that I had for $1,500. And when I press pay selected bills, it's going to be done. So this is a new idea which we learned today, that after you pay with a personal check, in the case of a journal entry, if you don't pay the invoice, if you don't pay the bill directly from vendors section, you did it with a journal entry, you have to make sure that after you did the journal entry and you debited the payable or you credit the receivable, you have to go back to vendors pay bill and make sure to apply the credit to the bill. The same thing would be in the customer section. If I made a journal entry and let's say a customer who owed me for an invoice didn't pay me directly, but he paid a bill of mine somewhere else, so I will credit his receivable. I will wipe away his receivable in the journal entry, but I'm not going to put the expense on the other side. But I will still have to go back to the received payment section and give him his credit because it wasn't applied to the bill, as was demonstrated here. I see. Oh, man. Let me, in this case, I'm going to, and I paid the bill, right? It doesn't make any difference really if I'm leaving here check and chase or not, because at the end of the day, I didn't pay it anyway with my checking account. I setting it with a credit. Okay, pay selected bills. and I wrote done. So I am not paying any more bills right now. And okay, so as you can see in the vendors section here, is that if we're seeing it? Let me shrink this in. Scroll to the top. You should see that everyone is zero. Staples, Office Rentals, Office Depot, Nest Paper. We have 3 open bills: AMI, Con Edison, and National Grid. We're going to leave those open for now. Those companies are running away because due to COVID, they're not shutting off our electricity and National Grid anyway. So why give them money right now? Let's hold off a little bit. I'm going to stop the share for a moment, and I'm going to go back to the Q&A, which was giving me trouble before. Let's see what's going on here. Where's the question answer window? Let me try to enable a question. Participants. Okay, 1 second. Let me enable this over here. Someone's asking me, is there a name to edit the credit that was before? What's it for? How do I get to the screen? Okay, answer that. We don't need it. We're not entering a name of members equity. Why do I need a? So how do I undo a bill that I paid accidentally? You could do well if you wanted to undo a bill that you're not undoing a bill, you're undoing the payment. You're gonna have to go to the vendor center and you go to the payment and you double click, you delete it. But let's see, I'm trying. Sorry about these we're having some technical issues tonight. I wish I could blame it on the weather. Okay. Again, regarding links to recorded Zoom session, please be in touch with the office. I'm not involved in that. I see a raised hand with Ms. Fleischer. We'll try to do this audio enabled because my Q&A kept on freezing. Hello?
Yes, okay. Can you explain again what you did? The accounts payable and then the members' equity. Like why I understand why you went there and because, why you went by the general journal. Just I want to understand why, why did you record it that way?
Okay. Basically, we're trying to accomplish a lot of things in QuickBooks, and every transaction has a different, I should say, skill or that you'll learn in QuickBooks. So I could have you do just 50 bills and pay 50 bills with checks. We could do that if there was enough time for that. So I entered 7 bills, that's fine, but I'm showing you different methods how to take care of bills. One way is you pay by check. Now I could have paid all 7 by check, but I want to show you what will be the effect of borrowing money to pay for bills. I want to show you the effect of borrowing money from an outside person or borrowing money from one of the company investors.
I understand all that. I'm
Right.
just trying to.
So as I explained before, when you're paying a bill from asset, that asset belongs to the company, right? So the only way you could pay with a check the $500, I mean, the only way you could pay that money is if the company actually got the money.
Right.
So originally, we got the $500 into the company from the members' equity. We deposit it in the bank. Now the
members' equity, what does it mean?
Members' equity means it's what the equity a member has in the company, what he leaves, either what he earned from profit or what he invested.
Okay.
As opposed to liability, which the company owes outside people, from other people, whether it's banks or outside investors.
Okay.
Outside investors means all they get is they get their money back, and that's it. Maybe the interest if they lent it, but they don't have a share in profits. People in the company, the investors, they're not there just to get the money back in a few percent. They invest the money to make profit on the company. So the other money we deposited in the bank was money we received from customers. So that's in the bank. So that's money which you could use, either money you put in the company bank or you deposited from customers. Now, once you're borrowing money, that's in the liability side anyway. Now you could borrow money from what's it called? A credit card from an individual, or you could use your own credit card. It's still a liability. But if I want to use personal check, that option I don't have in the pay vendor section. See, if I go to vendors and pay bills, right? So I have 2 options. I have checks. Now, if it's check, whether it's Chase or Citi, this is in the asset section. That belongs to the company. When I go to the drop down of credit card, then you can use a company credit card, you can use a different credit card. And that will show up on the liability side. How do I put in a payment something which comes into members' equity? The only way to do that is through a journal entry. Right? If I would go into the bank and put it into the bank account, then I could do in the register. I could add it to the bank account. If the money is never going to come into the company, the only way to record members' equity will be by putting a journal entry. So we're going to learn this in a future class. Let's say when I started the company.
But why do you call it he earned it? If anything, he paid the bill, he paid his rent.
No, again, there are two different sides. Don't mix them up.
Right. So I'm wondering.
Members' equity is either is what the person has in the company. Right? What does the owner have in the company? He has two things. He has the money which he put in, and he has the money which the company earned for him. Right? If it earned it from him from sales, it earned it for him. And if you put it into the company, it's still yours. So that's really what the message QuickBooks was telling us when I went into members' equity. I just did it for short. It was telling us that members' equity account is usually used for previous earnings to store it there. So
in other words, you're telling me that he put in now $1,500 from his own money into.
Correct. Yeah.
What you're saying.
Right. In addition to the $500 which he put directly into the company's bank, he put into the company another $1,500. He's paying the rent.
I get
you. But he didn't put the money into the company bank. He paid it out of his own check.
Right.
So where do you account for that? You account for that in journal entry.
I hear you.
The same thing would be if you had to go out and buy a car, and the company doesn't have money for a car. You're going to be putting in that extra money. So you'll do the exact same thing. You would increase your equity by adding money, but you will not be debiting a payable, right? You don't have the bill already recorded. What you're doing is you're getting an asset for the company. So the assets go up by debit. So you add an asset on the left side, and you put.
Members' equity goes to the debit.
No, members' equity goes to their credit.
The credit? Isn't credit what you owe?
No, that's again. So that's why I didn't go in detail into debits and credits besides the first class. That we're going to pick up next time. But the idea is that there's rules for debits and credits. So I said, if you picture the equation, you have assets on the left side, liabilities, and equity on the right side. So we say everything on the asset side increases with a debit. So when you go to the bank account, it's a debit. When you add to the bank account, it's a debit. When you add to the assets, it's a debit. So if you're adding assets with a debit, the opposite side of the equation is the opposite. So the right side of the equation goes up with a debit. So with a credit. So you increase your liabilities with a credit. You increase equities with a credit. That's why in that journal entry, which we did, go back to company journal entry.
Why do you increase? I don't get that. If you're putting in money into the company,
yeah.
You're increasing the assets of the company.
Right. No, you're doing both. Everything is there's two parts. You're increasing assets, but assets is only one part of the equation. The company, where does the company get it from? Did it borrow it or is it invested? That's what I wrote. 2 equals 0 plus 2. 2 equals 1 plus 1, or 2 equals 2 plus 0. You have to. There are two sides. There's everything is interconnected. There has to be a debit and a credit in every entry. That you'll even see. Not even when I journal entry.
Has to be. That's what it is.
Yeah, I explained those in the first class. That the journal entry, we're manually making debits and credits. But in effect, every transaction in QuickBooks is a debit and a credit. And you're going to see that shortly when I do reports. Mm-hmm. Everything is, even when I went into the register, put $500 in the bank, we didn't do debits and credits, but QuickBooks did it for us. When I paid the bill for $177 to Ness, it's a debit and a credit. But QuickBooks knows that. But it's automatic because it's built in. You have a bill. When you enter the bill, the act of entering a bill was a debit and a credit, the same thing also. Everything is a debit and a credit. But when you do journal entries, that's when you have to think because it's manual.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just one illustration. When you enter a bill for 177, what happened? The company, why did I enter a bill? Because we got paper goods, right? So the company has an asset called paper goods. So it debits paper goods or supplies. The assets went up. What it does, it credits as liability. I owe now Ness $177. So that entering a bill is a debiting an asset, crediting a liability.
I hear.
And
Okay.
the same thing was the rent. I entered a bill, I debited an expense called rent, which is basically debiting my equity because I lowered the value of the company and I increased my expense. So that's why, because I credited a payable, now when I undo it, I'm paying it off. I'm debiting the payable. I'm debiting the payable and I'm crediting equity. But
I guess I didn't understand it because we didn't see it till now. But now I see.
I gave it open, and you're going to see it in more next time. I want to just finish off. Let's see.
Okay.
My computer was froze a couple times. That's why I always log in on 2 devices so we don't lose everyone. Let's see. So yeah, so someone asked me, is there different types of members equity if there's different partners of business? Absolutely. I chose a single member company, LLC. So that's why I have one members equity account. If you would have multiple members, the default would be 2 members. So we'd have member 1 equity, member 2 equity, member 1 draw, member 2 draw. That answers that question. Someone says it can't edit the credit for office rental. Not sure what that is. We're not crediting office rental, we're debiting office rental right now. Again, someone's asked me again questions of receivable. We didn't touch receivable today, we're touching payables. And at the end of the class, after we finish the reports, hopefully anyone has questions about the balance is not being correct, we'll take care of it. In general, if you have a incorrect balance, try to stick around at that class because you're going to build up errors and then it's going to take longer to undo. So we should take care of it at the time. Let's see here. So payables, we're leaving, we only have 3 payables. Okay, so I mentioned before we're going to use a shortcut of Control W. Control W is to write a check. Right before when we paid the bills, you didn't see the beautiful checks we have in QuickBooks, but now you get to see them. Before we just paid a bill without a number. Here we're doing to print later, or I uncheck the print later, and it makes me check numbers. I have numbers in the checks. Starting here at check number 2, paid to office rental 0. I'm not paying a check because I don't need to pay office rentals anything. Again, why did it assume I'm going to pay something to office rentals? Because I was highlighting office rentals. So let me not stay on office rentals. Let me get off. Let me actually close Vendor Center because I'm going to pay a new thing called Essence. We had a business meeting and the company's paying $76. Okay, Control W. I'm going to type the word Essence. Right, Essence is not in the name list. No problem. Quick edit. Okay, now step 6 and 7 should altogether take only 3 minutes because we know really what we're doing, how to add a vendor. We're quick adding. You can watch my demonstration and then do it, or you could just listen and do it. I would suggest you watch, but you can just listen and do it. Okay. Control W, vendor, we quick add it. Okay, here's a vendor we're paying. And the amount we're going to pay Essence is 76. We press tab. That's the way we go forward through different fields. And again, we need to do what account is it? So I'm going to type the word M, automatically is going to show up meals. Okay, why didn't the members equity and members drawer have an M in it? So it shows up on the screen, but why did it highlight meals? Because the assumption is that if I'm writing a check, right, the company is writing a check, the company's not adding equity. The company is paying an expense, right? Maintenance also has an M, so it showed up, but we're going to have meals, 76. I'm going to do Alt S, which is the effect of save anew. And I'm going to do one more. Then you can do it yourself. I'm doing these two right one after another. I'm writing the check. I'm going to leave it to print for whatever reason. Essence 1111. Today's date 76. Meals and entertainment. Alt S. And I'm going to type up Super 13. Right? Super 13. Right? I'm not writing sushi. It happens to be, it's also food in this case. What's okay? I'm talking about it. Okay, Super 13. And quick add, because it's not on the list. Once the vendor's in the list, it'll be here perpetually until you deactivate. Okay, and this is be for $44. Tab, and actually 3 times meals, entertainment, and I'm going to do Alt A, right? If you look at the bottom, you have an underlined S. S means save anew. A is save and close. So Alt A will close me down. So now, if I go back to Vendor Center, lo and behold, you're going to have another 2 vendors, right? And we're going to have Essence at 0 and Super 13 at 0. But the difference is we didn't do a bill and a payment. We did a check directly. For practical purposes, in the register of the bank, whether you paid a bill or whether you directly paid a check, it's still going to show a check. But in the vendor center, it's going to have it differently. If you go to Staples, it's a bill payment from a credit card. Office rentals is a general journal. And they put a 0 check just to, for purposes of wiping it out, but because we apply the credit, but we use the general journal. And this paper was a check. So again, we have a bill payment for check from this paper. We have a credit card payment for Staples. We have a journal payment from office rentals. Super 13 is actually a straight out check. Okay, now that I explained all different types of ways you could pay the bills through credit cards and checks and things like that, the only thing you have to do right now for those who didn't do it yet is to do step 6. Again, step 6, we do Control W. And now I'm going to leave just a check screen open, and you can, I'm going to refill the Essence without saving it because I don't want to double save it. We had before some people save it twice and then they have double the payments or double expense. But one feature, if you notice now, on the second time I did it, once you create I linked Essence expenses to meals. The next time I put in that vendor, it's going to automatically put in the account. That's one of the features you have from QuickBooks. It also offers you the opportunity if you only want it to remember the account, or if you want to remember the amount as well, because you have certain recurring expenses that are monthly the same vendor, and every month it's the same thing. If you have a car lease, every month is the same payment. And if you go to the gas, so you might be going to the same gas station, but it could be always different amounts unless you're always putting a flat fee. So you might want to have always remembering just the account and then putting in the amounts, or you want to have it remembering the amounts also, and the times the amounts change the amounts. But you have to remember to change it, otherwise you'll be putting in the wrong amounts accidentally. Okay, so I left open the check to Essence for $76. It's meals and entertainment for $76. And you'll save and make a new payment to Super 13 for $44. Okay, I'm gonna finish the instruction part of the class at 9:40 today. I usually try to finish by 9:30, but we had a few times that the computer froze. And then after 9:40, we'll have questions and answers for those who want to stay on. So what I did in step 6 is what I called pay expenses without entering a bill, right? Step 4 was entering bills, and step 5 was paying bills. Step 6 is the equivalent of just making a payment. So this is going to be one way that sales and checks are different. That when I write checks without an invoice, I just go straight to the check and go W. When I make sales without invoicing, then I use the drop down called customers and enter sales receipt. I'm going to leave this thing open, but I'm not going to go further till I see Q&A, people catching up who finished step 6. But what we're going to do in step 7 is get ready for customers enter sales receipts. It's only going to be 2 entries. Okay. Okay. Flash is asking, can you repeat what I said? When I write check without invoice, what do you do? When I write a check without invoice, it's exactly what I do. The assumption is, see, an invoice I got in the mail came with an order, with items. I entered the invoice and I'm going to pay it out. When I went to the store, they're not giving me an invoice. They're actually not giving me my food until I pay for it. So I came with a check and I wrote out at $76. I just have to assign an account to keep track of that. Okay. I see here an invitation for a class party at the end of the year at Essence. Okay, I'll be looking out for that invitation. What do you do to create a recurring amount with the vendor? You don't have to. That's usually the default, that it remembers the account and the amount. You can select, you could change it to remember only the account, or you could select even not to remember anything. But when we do customizations, I will show you that. Okay, what's the second check? Again, second checks, if you read the line, pick up sushi and soda from Super 13 to $44. So you might want to write in the memo sushi and soda, that you could do, there's room for that. But on a check, what you're writing is S, and you're going to be writing Super 13. And that's all it's going to show on the check. What's in the green is going to be a picture of your check, unless it says to print. When you print, you could uncheck print later and actually put in the check number. Or if you don't know what the number will be, you'll print the checks, and later on I'll show you how to print checks that were created already. So for now, yeah, actually I'll leave this to print. And this is all to the check. You could put a memo on the check, or you could leave it blank. But QuickBooks needs to know the meals and entertainment expense. Okay, that takes care of that one. Yeah, sales without invoicing, correctly, sales without entering a bill means they got paid right on the spot. That's correct. Again, so someone asked me how to do the other entries. So again, we're going to do Super 13, 44, and meals and entertainment is here. So I'm going to leave that open as well. So I see a post from 12 minutes ago about 1,500 under credit. I'm not sure what that question is, so please stick around and I'll answer your question. Someone says they don't have 1430 in their Chase that I deposit. For now, ignore the ending balance. That can be a distraction. I'm just trying to show now how to do checks. We'll reconcile balances later. Okay, I see. I keep on seeing the same question. But let's ignore accounts receivable now. I don't want to see accounts receivable. We're doing payables now. Okay, I'm going to clear this because I already did 2 checks. The step 7, which I was talking about, the sales without invoicing, is customers enter sales receipt, right? We're not creating with enter sales receipt. We're creating 2 new customers. So intuitively, you should already know that just by typing Bayrish Holzklapper or Holzklapper Bayrish, it's going to ask you, and you press tab, it's going to ask me to quick add him. Tab, right? I could set him up, I give him an address, but I'm not. It's a quick add because we're running out of time. Now, this is not sale number 1 as it shows over here. We already made a bunch of sales, but there are different numbers for each sequence. Invoices has 1 sequence of numbers, sale receipts have another sequence, and this is all for security because you don't want people billing out for your company and then collecting money and then deleting the invoice. So it wouldn't show up in the company's books at the end of the year for missing money, but someone's running a business within your business. That's why you have every number has to be accounted for. Okay, what are we selling? We're selling him an item called BK, right? BK, we know is bookkeeping. And it pre-fills us. As I said, always a unit is 1, unless you put a quantity. So $30 an hour for bookkeeping. We're doing 2.5 hours. I said, you're going to bill him. He paid $75. You don't have to do 75. What you're entering in the sales receipt is the quantity of 2.5. QuickBooks by itself extends the $30 to $75. Save and new, and then you'll enter 5-ish glick. Now, very carefully, even though this I want you to enter because it's very important, the date. It's not negated anywhere else, but only for this transaction. I want you to backdate the transaction to 12/28/2019. The second, this okay. So 7 number 2, I'm going to save a new, and I'm going to do item. Oh, actually, first create a customer. Click 5-ish, and he is going to quick add also. I'm not selecting right now the method of payment. I'm running, it could be check, cash. It's not the point. We already know that we could select all these types, and I'm going to put an HK, and he's paying us $70. So I'm not going to put the quantity. This time I'm going to do reverse. I'm going to type in 70. QuickBooks will either put the rate at $70, and the unit is 1 hour, but we don't charge $70 for 1 hour. Housekeeping is really $20 an hour. So then I could go back and put in 3.5. Then again, it's going to change it to 245. That's a ripoff. So let's clear the whole thing out and start again. Let's take the customer, which is already saved. I already did 5-ish glick. I'm going to put in BK, and we're going to do in our head, we're going to figure out that it's 3.5, the quantity is 3.5. And that's why we said, not 3.5. The bookkeeping, it's HK, that's why. HK, and it's 70. I'm going to wait over here because I played around with 5-ish glick. I'm going to look at the questions and answers. The assumption is that I'm not going to assume anything. I'm going to wait for confirmation. If I get some raise of hands of people who managed to do step 6 and 7. Step 6 was paying expenses without entering a bill. And 7 was sales without invoicing, which were these 2 customers. I see some hands here. If you didn't do it, no problem. You could ask questions. I'm looking at the Q&A. Someone doesn't have balance sheet. Okay. No, I'm not teaching this now. I'm just demonstrating right now. Actually, that didn't come across right. I am teaching. I'm showing, but I don't expect you to understand this right now. I'm making a profit and loss statement for the year, just now, a P&L. I did a report, and that's actually step 9. Step 8 was supposed to review the entries. We'll review it next time. We'll also do step 9 next time also. I just want you to see on this page of P&L from November that we're starting to create a profit and loss. We have sales, we have meals and entertainment, we have office supplies, we have rent expenses. And people are going to say, 1 second, we had much more than rent expense. We had office supplies, we had utilities, we have what else did we do last time? We have advertising. Where are all these things? Why only showing up rent expense and office supplies, meals, entertainment? And that answer we're going to have in next class. Where are all the other expenses hiding? And where are all the assets hiding? It doesn't show up here on the profit, not the assets, the assets are, where are they hiding? But for now, I'm going to go to Q&A and see, there's a backdate indicate an old invoice or it's a new company. Okay. For now, I asked Susan just to accept what I wrote, that I want the invoice, the payment, sales receipt to be dated 12/28/2019. I might have myself not done it. I can go double check. I think I said it. I didn't do it myself. So let me go back to sales receipt number 2. It's great. I left it open. I didn't save it. Change it to 12/28. You could do 19 and still it's 2019. Okay, I'm going to save now this invoice. The sales receipt from 5-ish Glick, $70. Save and close. It's more than 90 days in the past. I'm doing it anyway. And now Customer Center has 2 more customers. We have, besides the original 4, we have Glick and Holtzklapper, which are 0. Okay, I see raised hands. I'm going to go now and ask accept questions here. I'm going to start with Olivia, who's on the top of the list. Hello? I can unmute.
I didn't have a question. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, so you were just saying that you managed to do all the steps, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Let's see, we're talking. I think by now I know this is Mrs. Meltzer. Is it a question or are you just letting me know that you did the steps?
I was letting you know I did the steps, but I'm actually, for 5-ish Glick, I quickly wrote save and close whatever. So he does have a bill for when you did the 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So now I have a sales receipt for $245. Right now I'm trying to.
I know, because I made a bubble myself. I had it there. I first changed the rate to 70 and then went back and added 3.5. So just clear it out and do it again.
I'm trying to. How would I clear it?
Oh, wait, you already saved it?
Yeah, I'm trying.
No problem. So what you'll do is you'll overwrite it. You just write 3.5 and put $20.
No, but I'm saying I have 2 of them. I have 5-ish Clark. I did it twice. So how do I?
So you'll right click, or you double click the sales receipt, and similarly there's an X. You delete.
So where do I go? Where do I go to do that? Right now I went to income.
Are you in the one that's 245?
I can't get to, yeah.
So just press X for delete, and it'll delete the receipt.
Oh.
Same way as an invoice, same way as a bill. If it was a mistake, you delete it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Now we have Dove. You have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
By office rentals.
Yeah.
On the second line, you had Chase with a 00 amount, but I deleted that. Is that a problem?
What did you delete?
The chase.
In the journal entry or in the
No, in the vendor's information.
in the vendors? There was a third thing. I told you before. It shows here a payment check for zero, right?
Yeah.
It's more like a pay stub that it creates that we apply the credit, so it makes a zero chase amount, but it applies the credit. So I'm not sure what's showing now on your end. You probably
I deleted it.
okay. So we'll see if it comes an issue later. But that's what QuickBooks usually does.
Can I undo it?
You deleted it. You can't undo the delete.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you had to pay $1,500 and you had $1,000 credit and $500. What it would do is it would make a bill payment check for the $500 because the 1,000 is a credit. In this case,
Yeah.
since the whole 1,500 was a credit,
It made a check.
yeah. But
check
this
of zero,
is because we paid it from a personal check and we had a journal entry and we had to debit it. But usually it will be straightforward. You would pay it out of bills, vendor pay
I
bills.
guess, yeah.
But
Thank you.
I'm trying to teach different parts of QuickBooks because it's going to play a role in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. We have Menachem here. Menachem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I how do I delete a sales receipt?
Okay. Usually you double click it and you get, and once you're inside, you press the X.
Let's delete it. Where's the X?
When you go into the sales receipt. In this case, you go into
Thing,
customers.
top right?
No, it's in the center, in the center ribbon towards the left. Let's see here, 5-ish click, sales receipt. So you have here a separate ribbon in the middle, right? Not the menu bar. You have many options here. You have new, save, delete, create a copy, memorize. So
See that.
here's delete.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, let's give Razel a chance. Hello?
How are you?
Yeah.
Okay, just two questions. One, like the reason that we're doing sales without, like whenever we would do a sale without an invoice, that's just on the spot. So that's when we do that.
A sale. I'm not, like I explained, people ask me what's on account. When you sell something and you don't collect payment right away, then it's called on account and you're mailing out an invoice. And then when you receive a payment, you're paying down the invoice. Then you have people that walk in, so they're not getting invoiced. It's as if you went to cash register in a grocery store and they
Right,
pay you,
that's fine.
and you spit out the invoice right away. I mean, the receipt.
Okay,
The receipt is no invoice.
okay. The next question, I still didn't get the whole thing with the accounts payable and the members equity. Like why did a journal entry? Like I just don't get that.
Okay, so in the next class, we're going to discuss actually three things. We're going to have like a little polling thing, review. But we're going to discuss, number one, a little more about debits and credits. We're going to discuss also the difference between cash counting and accrual accounting. So,
Do that. So my question will be answered there.
Debits and credits will be answered then. Right now, I was mainly getting all the balances to do it.
No, I understand like debits or credits. I took accounting. I just don't understand why you made a journal entry.
Why did a journal entry for paying the $1,500?
Yeah, like I was just very confused.
Because the money is coming from a personal check. So how else can you pay off a bill?
Why can't you just write that it's personal check?
Where are you doing it?
When you make
We're going to make a memo in the bank.
no, you go to create bill and then you just do a check from your personal account.
Because your account is not here in QuickBooks.
So why can't you?
So that's because my assets are not the company's assets. I have $10,000 in my bank. The company has 1,000.
Let's say
Wait,
credit
what's
card
that?
is not.
No,
Yes.
you're right again, because it's not company assets. That's liabilities and equity. So that means my credit card and Shimon's credit card are liabilities. That doesn't need to be in the company. But bank is an asset. It has to be, money has, an asset has to be in the company,
Okay, I got it.
right? Because, and when I'm going to make a report, what does the company have in assets? It's not going to include my personal money. But when I make a report of the liabilities and the equity, so then all the money that I put in to the company is going to be in my equity. All the money that I borrow will be in liabilities.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay. Let me think. I'm jumping back a second to Q&A if there's any open questions over there. When would I create a sale with an invoice if they're paying on the spot? Why waste time? Okay. Who needs to go is welcome to go. Let's hope everyone has, anyone who has a question with their balance, now would be the time to take care of it. Review step 6. Someone wants to know step 6. So again, we did before, we did Control W. Control W is to write a check. Before I actually write a check, I want, if we're talking KMA, go to your vendor center and see if you have these two vendors created already. Do you have Essence listed? And do you have Super 13? I'm going to assume that you don't have them there, otherwise, because you already made the check. If you do, and you wrote the check, you would see by Super 13 a check for 44, and by Essence a check for 76. Now, if Moshe has a question, is Moshe's hand up? Okay, we'll get to Moshe in a second. I was reviewing step 6 one last time. Okay, so we are in the control right. And as I said, what we're going to be doing, see, QuickBooks now shows me 12/28/2019 because that was the last thing I did for 5-ish clicks. So I'm going to touch the letter T, another shortcut, which is today. It's going to bring me back to 11/11. Okay, Essence. You see, when I put the word Essence, it already knows the account is meals. It's already hooked up. But the amounts is not being saved automatically. So 76, tab, and that's the amount for Essence. If I only wanted to write one check, I would go right now, save and close. If I want to write a second check, I would go save and new, and then I would write out the second check to Super 13. If MA still has a question, please raise your hand and go to the chat section. Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Moshe?
Yeah. So my Chase Bank is 1623 instead of 1423.
1 second. Let me go to my register. Okay. So what's your deposits?
1623.
No, your deposit is 1523.
Oh, my deposits is 500
Yeah.
and then 1220 and then 200.
Where did you get 200?
I don't know.
You probably received payment an extra time from Rabbi
Will
Cohen.
be from today.
Not today.
So I should delete it and then it's going to be fine?
Were you the one that asked me that your accounts receivables is 215 instead of 415?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably, that's the difference. You received an extra $200 and you put it in your bank. Double click on that and see on the extra $200 deposit, see if that's Rabbi Cohen, $200.
Yeah, but now my bank is,
Well, 1 second.
but my accounts receivable is still 215.
Again, double click on the $200 in the register and see where that deposit's coming from. Is that Rabbi Cohen?
But I deleted it already.
No, so then if you deleted it, you deleted the deposit. So then you have to go back to make deposits and see whose it is. Let's go banking, make deposits.
A minute. Oh, okay. It's from Yanko, Chaim Yanko.
Chaim Yanko. So you go back and go back to Chaim Yanko customer and delete. See, I was going to do it in one shot. If I would have, I wouldn't have, you couldn't do it in one shot. So go back to customer center, go back to Yanko Chaim. He only paid you you have their payment of 225 and 200, of 150 and 200, right?
And I have 225 also.
No, 225 is the invoice.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Payment, you have 150 and 200, right?
yeah,
So double click the payment of 200
okay,
and exit, which means to delete it.
delete.
Yeah. So now your bank balance and your receivable should be correct.
Okay, 1 minute.
The bank balance is correct because you deleted the deposit. The receivables is correct because you deleted the payment. The received.
Oh, okay, now it's correct. Okay,
Okay.
yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Second. I'm not sure. Did Mordechai get it? Ask a question yet? Hello.
Hello,
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah. I
Thank
hear
you.
you and the background. Yeah.
So for some reason, my second deposit in my Chase current ending balance is 203. So I missed out the
No.
12.
This is a basic 203. So you didn't
I don't have
deposit.
the 1220.
Right.
The first one is a transfer of members' equity of 500.
Yeah.
The second is a split deposit also for 500. So I just changed that to 1220.
No. Double click. What's the split deposit of 500? Where do you get $500?
Let's see, what just happened? Banking register. Double click this. It just takes me to deposit to Chase Colonial money.
Plenty of money going to give you $500?
It does there, but there's no amounts when I click on it.
Again, if you have a split deposit, then when you double click on split deposit, it'll give you the breakdown.
Try it again. Use register. When I click on split deposit, it takes me to received from Colonial money, Cohen, Cook, Yankel, Chaim, but there's no amounts. With no total.
And the right side is zero amounts. Then what did you receive from them? You receive zero?
There's no amounts.
Well, there is an amount. You said there's 500 in the bank. So somewhere has to be an amount.
Right. I don't know where it's.
Do you see the whole screen? Do you see the right column? Like I have it here?
No, it doesn't. There's no. There's only. There's 4 names in the received from column. All the other columns are empty.
It's impossible. I mean, you said this. 1 second here.
I'll go back to banking. Use register.
Maybe your deposit is zero.
Deposit split.
Maybe
So you're right. The deposit is zero. Only the balance is 500. You're right. So the deposit is zero.
Okay. So you didn't receive. You didn't deposit any money or you didn't receive any money. So go back to your customer center. What are your outstanding balances for Colin, Cook, and Glick?
Customer center. Balance total 200, 140, 000, and 75, just like yours.
Yeah. So go back to make deposits. Banking.
Deposits. Yeah.
And it doesn't come up anyone with any money?
No.
I mean, you should still show Glick and Holtzklapper. We're not depositing them, but you should have them.
No, I only have the first 4. Colonial money, Cohen, Cook, and Yankel.
And what's the amounts?
There's no amounts.
So how did you receive the payments? So you have to go one by one.
No. Go back to customers. Customer center. Cohen is invoice, accounts receivable 600, payment, undeposited funds 400.
So if it's undeposited, it has to show up in your make deposits.
So it's you're saying that it's not supposed to be
Undeposited funds is the place where QuickBooks stores all the payments received. So when you go to make deposits, it pulls it out of undeposited funds and puts it to the bank. So if you go to banking, well, let's do like this. You told me your deposit is 0, so delete the deposit. Right, you said it's 0 deposit.
Okay, one second. Banking, register. Going to Chase.
You can right click and just delete deposit. Here you don't have to double click. You right click your 0 deposit and delete it.
Delete deposit. Okay, now it's completely empty.
Okay, so again, so what's your bank balance right now?
Banking, use register. 203.
How could it be 203?
I have
Yeah, you have
members'
you have the payments of 177, 76.
177, 76, and 44. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it went from 500 down to 203. So I'm just,
right.
I guess I'm just
And
missing
then
the 1220.
Here you see that 0. Whoever asked me before about that 0 payment from Chase to Office Rentals, QuickBooks puts a note. QuickBooks generated 0 amount transaction for purposes of a stub. So when you go into the stub, let's see if this card changes. It will show you that we paid off with we paid off the bill.
Mm-hmm. So I don't have that either.
Okay, anyway, so go banking, make deposits again. See what happens. Banking, make deposits.
Banking, make deposits.
Who's
Yeah,
coming
so
up?
now it's nothing. Now it's completely blank.
Okay, exit and do it again. Because you've seen the big screen. X the big screen and do again, make deposits.
I should close all the windows in the background.
No. X the makes deposits window. I mean, if you go banking, you press make deposits. If it shows a big blank window, go to the second X, not the top X, the bottom X.
Oh, okay.
And
So
close
now,
it, and then go again, banking, make deposits.
Yeah, so now there's like 5-inch Holtz Copper, Perennial Money, Yankel, and Cohen.
Everyone, okay. What are the amounts that you see for Cohen, Perennial Money?
Perennial Money 670. Yankel Chaim is one.
Select the 670, select the 400, and select the 150.
I can do like shift and
Just click each one. Click.
Perennial Money, Yankel Chaim, and Cohen Y.
Yeah. So show your payments subtotal should show.
Oh, 1220, right?
Yeah, and deposit it.
And then I do just okay.
Yeah.
Okay, deposit subtotal 1220.
Yeah, and then save and close. Yeah.
This transaction is more than 90 days in the past because of one of them.
Well, okay, you still the date of 12/28, so change the date. Press T. Put it like for today.
Control T.
No, just T.
Oh shoot! What did I just do? I did Control T and it went back. So how did I?
Okay, well, you see what you got to do. You got to X out, make deposits, go back and make deposits again. Select those 3 and make sure you have 12/20, and make sure it's either today's date or 2 days ago's date. Either 11/11 or 11/9.
T and save and close.
My banks is what?
No banking. 1423.
Yeah. By the way, if you instead of going to register the bank check, you just go Control A. And the top of the list is always your bank. Your bank is always there on the top. That's it goes in the order.
That's the charge
goes in the
accounts.
order of the what? Yeah.
That
see,
takes the charge of
Chase-
accounts and
Yeah,
then,
Chase is 1423, accounts receivable is 415.
right.
On deposit 145, we have assets, furniture and equipment 2079.
Mhm.
Incidentally, the 2079 is a combination of the 879 and 1200. Okay,
Right.
so that,
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Okay, let's see who else is here. Otherwise, okay. One second. Hello?
Yes, hello, okay. I wanted to know, by mistake, I entered twice this Holtzklapper. I wanted to know how to erase them from the customer list.
How did you enter him twice or the bill twice?
No, it happened, I entered both. Sometime, once he went on as Holtzklapper and one time as Holtz. I don't know how that happened. So I went
Okay, so what you do is,
to
where's
go
this
to
guy?
customers.
You can right click and delete customer.
1 second, right? What?
Right click whichever one you want out. Probably the one that doesn't have a
Am I going
transaction.
to customers? Am I
Yeah,
going?
customer center, customer
Okay,
center.
yes, and then,
And you find the
right.
guy, find the guy that has to go.
okay,
And if there's transactions there, you won't be able to delete them, but you could make them inactive.
so how do I do that?
Again, so you entered twice, called supper and whatever.
Right,
But by both of them, you entered the transactions.
right, both of them I put in 75.
Okay, so you got to delete one of them because
So how do I do
you
that?
don't have so you right click again, you double click the sales receipt from the one that you're going to delete, and you get the X, you delete it, you double click.
So am I clicking on Holtz Bayerisch?
Whichever one you want to go, whichever one you like, you keep. The one you want to go, you go to his sales receipt, you double click the sales receipt, and you'll find the X button, and you'll delete the sales sheet. Actually, I don't care really if you keep the customer. I don't want you to have a double receipt
Right,
because the balances will be all off. But
right.
you want to delete them, you can right click the cut. After you get rid of the sales receipt, you could right click the customer and delete
Here's
them.
the sales receipt, 1 second. Where do I find that?
On the right window.
Filter by all sales receipts?
I'm showing you all the. You don't have to. It's this year. You should have it.
Under what? Under customer,
No.
what?
In the left side where you have the customer Holtzklapper, go to the
Okay.
right window on the bottom. It'll show
So
you.
you see, I don't have that left side. I keep on asking, how do you get to that left side? I only main part.
I don't see your computer, but
Right.
usually all the software, if you're using Accountant Desktop 2020, they
Right,
all open the same. Whatever I have, you have.
okay.
So
So-
by some people, the window might have been pushed smaller or bigger for either accidentally or whatever. But
Right, but if I
So-
go to customers and customer center, all I see is like the big part that says customer number, date, pay method. I don't see that left part that,
okay, so you must have such a screen that you push to the left.
I don't know, I don't see it. Okay, but whatever it is, how do I take him off?
So how do you know you have two of them?
Because I see one is Holtzklapper Bayerisch and one is
Where are you seeing your list of customers?
when I go to customers and then customer center. So I see I have Holtzklapper Bayerisch.
Again, where are you seeing that?
I'm telling you, on the customers and on the customer.
I understand. You have a left side?
No, I don't have a left
No, you
side.
don't have. So where are you seeing? If I go to customer center, where else will I see my customers? This is where I see them.
No, I see it right on the center screen.
1 second. You talking about? Are you on the home page?
I am on the home page and
Oh, you're on the home page. Okay.
no, 1 second. No. I'm by file, edit, view. You know what I'm saying? So I go to
Right.
customer.
I go to customers. Yeah, I go to customer
Customer center.
Yeah.
And then I see this big page. I don't have that little side that you have. On the side by me, it says transactions. Unless I go, let me see a second. No, unless I click, no. I don't have that little side like what you have. I just see like estimates, sales orders, invoices. That's what I have on the side.
No, you clicked, you clicked on transactions.
It's on transactions.
Get out of transact, go to customers and jobs.
Okay. And then I see the entire page is just like big. I don't,
Your entire page is seeing like this side or like my left or my right?
okay, 1 second. Now I just clicked on a little arrow on the side that gave,
It expands it.
okay, now I see on the side. Okay, now how do I get that Holtz guy out?
Did you already delete his receipt?
Actually, I did. So now I see it stuck a 0 on 0.
Which you have two.
In other words, it was deleted.
It'll be 0 anyway. The question is, which one is 0 with no receipt, and which one is 0 with the sales receipt?
Whatever it is, I want that Holtz out. So how do I do it?
Right click. So you right click Holtz and you delete customer right here. I'm showing you on my screen, and you can do it.
Customer.
Right click Holtz
Yeah.
and you delete customer.
And where is delete? I just see delete customer job,
Yeah, that's delete customer.
customer job.
Yeah.
We cannot delete an item while you're editing it.
So you're still inside.
Edit. Go.
See, you didn't actually you didn't delete the receipt or whatever. Go to your windows, go down, see what windows you have open.
Okay.
Every window, and if you're editing a thing, go to it and close it.
Okay, and then another thing, when I go to customers, 1 second, customers and customer center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, fine. Now I see it. Okay, never mind. Okay, also I had like a different balance that you had by the checks, like, you know, where we were doing the checks.
Yeah.
You had like, I forgot already amount, like 1,000 something.
1423. Yeah, what do you have?
I think I had 203.
So you have the exact same problem as the person right before you. Were you paying attention?
Okay, no, I wasn't. I was trying to figure something out on my own.
Okay. So that's the thing. You should in the future. You should listen to. So to figure out time, you have to listen, because a lot of people are asking the exact same thing. After walking through to making the deposits from all the customers were not put in the bank. And if you add the other 1220 to the bank, you will have that amount. So you have to go to banking and make deposits. And if it doesn't show up, you'll exit the smaller window and you'll try it again. But don't deposit Holtz Clapper and Clicks money, only to other people. Hello?
Yep, I hear you. So in other words, every time we get money from them, we also have to go to the bank and then
Well, that we did actually at the end of the first class, we did that.
right, okay.
We reviewed it again in the last class.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, so just try it right now, because I like this. We'll get it done now. We won't have to do it next time.
Okay. So you mind telling me, like, what am I doing?
No, I said go to make deposits,
Right.
and you're gonna have a screen that pops up with all the people, or if it stays blank like I have mine now, then X out the bottom X and do make deposits again. Banking, make deposits. You should come up as a little screen with your 6 deposits. But don't put in Holtz Clapper and Glick, just put in the other ones.
And the other ones, meaning the people that we had, let me just,
We took 400 from Cohen, 670 from Poloni Almoni, and
right.
150 from that.
Right.
So are you seeing those payments there?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you select those 3, we'll tell you payment subtotal of 1220.
Okay, yeah.
Press OK.
Mm-hmm.
And now make sure the date is either today's date or 2 days ago's date. Either, because you might have 12/28/2019 because you did Glick from that date. What is your deposit date?
11,
Because you did okay, but you didn't go to the next step, save and close. Did you? What's the date in your deposit?
12/20,
12/28/2019 or today?
no, I have it today, yeah.
Okay. So actually, now that you told me you have today, so I'm going to tell you to save and close, but I'm going to suspect that you didn't put 5-ish Glick from 12/28/2019. So save and close.
Mhm.
Go back to your customers, 5-ish Glick. You have to make sure that his item is $70 is 12/28/2019.
Right, so I didn't do that, Taco. So what was, how do you do that? You
Go
just-
back to 5-ish Glick.
Right, I
Double
did.
double click the sales receipt and enter the date.
Okay.
Done?
Yes,
Okay. So I'm looking, I don't see any more hands over here. I guess the Moshe that's, I'm not sure how Moshe posted 1054, but I assume I answered his question. And, okay,
by the way, I still did not erase this Holtz guy because I can't seem to do it. I right click and I don't see any way how to delete it.
do like this. Go to your window, close all windows. If you have an active window, it's gonna get stuck over there. So close all the windows.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. It tells me I did not record this new trend.
Which transaction?
I guess this thing with a date.
Okay, so save it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now.
And again, I don't care. I don't know about you, I don't care about extra customers' names. What I care is that there's no extra transactions by the customers.
Right.
So you could put in 100, you could be a whole telephone book there. I just only want the transactions that we're putting in. And go to customer center and you right click your holds, whatever it is, and it's done. Yeah, right click and you go delete customer job.
Again, it tells me you cannot delete an item while you're editing it.
Are you inside another sales receipt?
Not that I know of. Close the edit window, it tells me.
Did you close? I showed you over here. You see windows. Did you
Yeah,
close? Did you close all?
I went to Windows and close all. Yes, I did that.
Okay.
Doing it again. And the data has changed. Do you wish to save it? It asks me.
I say yes. So you didn't close all. If you close all,
Now
you,
it's closing.
you would be a blank screen like I have.
Right. Okay, now I have a blank screen.
Okay. Okay. So now you go to customer center.
Okay.
You right click the customer that you don't like and you delete them.
Okay. Make inactive. That's good enough.
You could make him inactive.
Because there's no, I cannot delete him.
You can't delete him because he has a sales receipt there.
Okay, so make inactive.
So delete the other. That's what I told you before.
Okay.
You cannot delete people that have transactions. You could make them inactive. So decide which one you want out and
Right,
delete his
okay.
receipt. So I guess you.
Okay, so now it's good already. Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Shem, next week. Call the